When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Yeah, you read that correct. I'm talking about the remake here. The original Romero film will always be a favorite of mine for how he built off its foundation for Night of the Living Dead. But when it comes to the fun factor, the 2004 remake knocks it out of the park. Hell, it knocked it out of the goddamn parking lot for me when I first saw it. So much so that 2 years later, when Dead Rising was released on the Xbox 360, I was all in for it just for that mall setting alone. The opening of the film is going to hook you with how fast-paced and frantic everything around our main character is. The chaos of a neighborhood during an outbreak shows how fast things can go to shit. One moment you're in bed relaxing, the next you're crawling through a bathroom window trying to survive your now zombified husband. The zombies in this film are the quote-unquote fast zombies, which to me are a lot scarier in theory to encounter. Something about an undead person bolting at me with hunger in their eyes just hits different, you know? Still, if you haven't seen the remake yet or have only stuck to the original, give this one a shot. It's pretty damn fun, and it may just get you in the mood for a round of Left 4 Dead with the homies.
That's not fair. I had zombies too.
Yes, you did. Yes, you had zombies. But this is zombie redneck torture family, see? They're entirely separate species.
This movie is a love letter to all things horror. If you've been into scary movies for some time now, or scary media for that matter, but have not seen Cabin in the Woods, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, if you are new to the horror genre, this is still a great and fun time, but there will be tropes and references that will go over your head, but doesn't dampen the experience. It's just a lot more fun when you as an audience member can pick up on them throughout the movie. I love the dual setting of the woods and the underground lab complex that shows how the two work in tandem together. The lab workers down below pulling the strings, while the unfortunate victims above endure a hell of their own choosing. Still to this day, the final act of this film is one of my favorites ever. I'd compare it to an all-you-can-eat horror buffet, doused in blood and gore with a side of comedy to tie it all together. A great watch for newcomers and seasoned horror fans alike.
Approximately 7 hours ago, something attacked the city. I don't know what it is.
Ever wonder what surviving a giant kaiju attack would be like for an everyday citizen? Well then, Cloverfield is the movie for you. Taking the premise of a monster attacking, putting it into a found footage style movie is a recipe for fun. It lets the director show scale on a level that makes the people in this film feel like ants scattering to safety when something interrupts their path, a la a giant Statue of Liberty head falling in front of them. The monster itself was a unique design for the time, as well as the style it was shot in. It may be a movie that I have seen the least amount of times on this list compared to the others, but for some reason I always enjoy it when I do watch it. So that's gotta count for something, right? The simple escape and stay alive premise doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it does give us a good vehicle to showcase some really fun camera work with its found footage format.
Honey, come on over here, sugar buns. This machine just called me an asshole.
Okay, let's get a little crazy with this one. This movie is not at all a good movie, but goddamn, I'd be lying if I say it wasn't fun. Killer machinery and electronics coming to life to take revenge on humanity. Let that sink in. And it's the only film Stephen King has ever directed. Mind you, he was also coked out of his mind during the production, but I think that is what adds to the chaotic charm of it all. The main villain being a semi-truck with a Green Goblin mug on the front is iconic. Not in the same vein as, say, Jason or Michael Myers, since at the end of the day, it's just a truck. But for some reason, the Goblin face just works, and makes the movie's box art stand out from a lot of the others back in the day when I was browsing my local Blockbuster video. Give it a watch if you're interested in some so bad it's good cinema, and make sure you stay a good distance away from any vending machines after watching.
Oh!
bastards! Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
Evil Dead is arguably one of my favorite franchises in all of horror, and Evil Dead 2 is probably my favorite in the entire series. I recommend this one above the others due to it being a soft reboot of the first one, while still holding the horror elements in front, meanwhile introducing comedy that will make Evil Dead a master of the two going forward. At least when Ash Williams is involved. What was accomplished with the first movie was turned up to 11 with the second. Essentially, it's the movie they wanted to originally make but couldn't with such a shoestring budget it was nearly impossible. The first movie is a great watch for the cinephile, showing how movies were made so cheap but got creative with camera work, on-location shoots, and prosthetics to make up for it. Evil Dead 2 is what planted the seed of horror for me so long ago and still holds up to this day. With new Evil Dead movies still being released as recently as 2023 with Evil Dead Rise, I don't see this series dying off anytime soon. So grab your Necronomicon, chant the words,
Klaatu! Veranda!
and enjoy the journey of good versus evil.
No, we should stay inside.
Come on, we can take them.
The man said to stay indoors.
Fuck the man.
Look, as long as they're out there and we're in here, we're safe.
Much like Evil Dead 2, Shaun of the Dead is a horror comedy. I would even go as far to say it's a horror comedy masterpiece. I watch this movie at least once every year, not including at least once during the month of October since, 'tis the season and all. Zombies overrunning London a la 28 Days Later style. But instead of athletic sprinting zombies featured in that movie, we have the Romero Night of the Living Dead slow zombies, while throwing in a good dose of British humor that just clicked with me, from the insane camera work of Edgar Wright to the organic on-screen chemistry between Peg and Frost. This movie is a treat for fans of horror and comedy. No police or gun-toting experts in this film. In fact, it takes 3 people to operate 1 rifle in the climax of this film, which is a bit silly, but whatever. Not saying this movie is ultra realistic, but it does teeter that line of serious and funny so well that you would think it'd be impossible to not be cheesy. Shaun of the Dead is awesome, and you'll be awesome too if you watch it, so that's a win-win.
Chickens with the biscuits on the gravy with the biscuits, and the chicken wants a biscuit, for the biscuit is me.
The Hatchet movies are what I would call love letters to slashers of old, mainly Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th franchise. Adam Green crafts a horror icon that didn't go mainstream, but goddamn did he really jive with people that saw his films, me included. It has a low budget feel to it, but in a way Evil Dead feels low budget, as in a small budget pushes creativity with a passion for the film, rather than just making it to cash a paycheck. The creative kills that Victor Crowley inflicts on the survivors will make you wince, and occasionally you'll sometimes laugh too at the creativeness and absurdity of it all. But no, seriously, these movies have some of the most innovative kills I've seen in a slasher, with some amazing practical effects and on-location shoots as well. There are 4 movies in total for the Hatchet franchise, and if I had to choose a favorite, I'd probably say the second, solely for Danielle Harris being brought on the franchise, and yeah, that's just my reason.
Enough is never enough. Enough is never enough of the stuff.
The stuff, the taste that makes you hungry for more.
If you're a fan of 80s horror monster flicks and haven't seen The Stuff, what are you doing? Picture The Blob, but being mass-produced for commercial consumption by being sold as a delicacy, kind of like an ice cream. It shows how consumerism can blind us to what is obviously bad for us, and in this case, literally kills us from the inside out. This movie exudes that 80s charm in nearly every scene, especially when the stuff is on the screen terrorizing those unfortunate enough to have been eating it. These practical effects are the best parts of this film, and showcases that it will always be a sight to see and make you think, how the hell did they pull that off? It has a fun factor in the same vein that Killer Clowns from Outer Space has, so if you enjoyed that movie, give this one a shot too, because you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's cheesy, it's gory, it's even got these fun little commercials in it that advertise the stuff to the customers. Give it a watch and let me know what you think.
A storm of hell is coming down on this place any second. I don't know what they are. I don't know where they came from.
Feast is a film that I had seen a really long time ago when it aired on TV randomly one day. I never heard of it, nor did I know what the hell the plot was, but I was in my 24/7 horror phase of life during that time and wanted to see what this was all about. Needless to say, I was pleasantly surprised with the next hour and 35 minutes I spent in front of that TV. This movie was crazy fun, with its grindhouse feel to it, along with flashy character fact cards to further add to the what the fuck factor. It's a simple premise. A group of survivors are held up in a bar out in the middle of nowhere, and must fend off some creatures that are trying to get in. It's short and doesn't overstay its welcome, and really has a breakneck fast pace to it all. For some reason, I got a slight Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight vibe from it, which is also another great fun movie, but sadly didn't make this list. Maybe next time, Billy Zane.
Go watch Charlie Brown, and I'll be in a minute.
Charlie Brown's an asshole.
Billy Wilkins. Language.
One of my favorite movies to have come out in the modern era of horror has got to be Trick or Treat. I had seen this movie way back in 2008, about a year after it had initially came out. Once those credits rolled on this film, I was wanting to watch it all again from the beginning. Nowadays, this movie has reached its much-deserved popularity, so much so that I am sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard of this film. If not, then you're either new to horror or have seen the countless items at Spirit Halloween and feel the movie is overhyped, so you don't really want to watch it. But let me tell you, that is far from the truth. This will be in your October movies to watch rotation for every year going forward. It has the structure of a Tales from the Crypt episode, but with stories that intertwine with each other the more the movie goes on. Plus, I mean, just look at Sam. Isn't that just the cutest goddamn thing you ever saw? As long as we ignore the fact that he's killing those that don't respect Halloween traditions. But I mean, come on.
Come on.
Here's to hoping we get that Trick or Treat sequel sometime soon. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen to me ramble about some horror movies that I enjoy. Please feel free to share some movies with me that you enjoy that are on the same vein as these, kind of fun, schlocky movies, or hey, just throw any kind of horror movie at me and I'll check it out. I love them all. So, thanks again, enjoy the day, embrace the night.